Hey friends, this is Jake and here's another video on how to help yourself when it comes to your mental health. In today's video, I'm going to show you 30 different ways of how to cope when it comes to your mental health. Tip number 1, take a walk. This tip is great for those who can be mobile, and when I say take a walk, I'm not talking about long miles. Start small. Often I recommend people take a walk in a place that they're most familiar with. Sometimes it's a neighborhood, sometimes it's a park, sometimes it's a gym, and sometimes it's in your own home. Tip number 2, listen to music. If you're having an off day, that's okay. Listen to music. It might put you in a different mood. Music has a way of changing the way that we think sometimes, which can alter our mood, which can alter our behavior, and eventually alter the rest of our day. Word of advice, create a special playlist for days that you think you're not going to be doing so well. You could even name it the playlist that I plan on listening to on the days I'm not doing so well, or an acronym, make it shorter. But when you prep that list, it's good to have in your back pocket to listen to feel good, especially on days that you might not be feeling so well, thinking so well about yourself, might be more isolated, or experiencing more mental health difficulties. Tip number 3, laugh at something. My go-to coping skill that I often share with my clients is to laugh. I don't just laugh out of the blue. I watch stand-up comedy at least 1 hour a day. That does something to me. It helps me feel better. It releases certain chemicals in the body. It releases positive thoughts in my head, which by the end alters my mood, and I feel a lot better. So whenever you can, see if there's something that can make you laugh. Tip number 4, try out a new hobby. But for those that don't have a hobby, think about what you might be interested in. Make sure you can actually do it. See if it's realistic and go for it. My hobby right now is to watch different documentaries and then trying out what they're saying in the documentaries. One of which was a documentary, I'll put it right here and I'll link it in the description, called That Sugar Movie. What I learned from it was the history of sugar and what happens when we intake too much or even just a little, and what happens to our mind and body after we remove it out of our system. That's my hobby for now. We'll see what it looks like later. Tip number 5, and similar to tip number 4, is bring alive an old hobby. Take a step back into nostalgia and see if there's an old hobby that you can bring back into existence. Mine is actually soccer. All I did was found my old soccer ball, aired it up, and kicked it around. And it brought on a lot of good memories, a lot of positive memories. And I felt better, and it was nice. And to know that I'm able to go back to my childhood and even to my adolescent years and to kick around the ball again, it's enjoyable to relax and to notice that I still enjoy the sport. So see what you can do to bring back alive an old hobby. Tip number 6, exercise. There is loads of research studies, peer-reviewed research studies that shows how exercise can really alter your mental health, especially when it comes to coping. When you work out, the right chemicals are released in your body. You might feel better about yourself. You might actually develop confidence depending on how you view your own self-image as well. So exercise has loads of benefits. Tip number 7, eat mindfully. Now, I don't need to tell you what eating looks like, but eating mindfully is a bit different. First, let me give you the quick definition of what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is a state of being when you are present as possible, knowing that thoughts may attempt to alter you, but you're deciding not to do anything for that present moment. So if a thought came in telling you that you're no good, you're just going to be aware of that thought. You're not going to act on it, you're not going to judge it, and you're just going to see how far it can go in the distance once it leaves. So to be mindful is to be as present as you can without actively judging what your current experience is and just taking it as is. So mindfully eating is when you eat your food, you're not going as fast as you can to zip into the future. You're trying to be present, you're noticing the tastes that you're having, and when you notice those tastes enough, you slow down and you're more grounded in the present, which can decrease the likelihood of your mind jumping to the past or jumping to the future, which is a good way to cope. Tip number 8, play with a pet. I don't think I need to go too far with this one. There's a strong correlation in having a pet, taking care of it, and how much it can really affect us. It's as if they're taking care of us. There's been plenty of times where I felt like my own pets have saved me from my own thoughts or my own mental health, and many others have shared that with me. So if you have a pet, play with it. Whatever the animal is, take advantage of that. Tip number 9, pray. This one may not connect with you, but this might connect with other people out there who may come from a religious background or maybe even a spiritual one. Praying has a way of grounding us, keeping us present as much as we can, decrease our thoughts from the outside world, and to focus on what's most important to us. So prayer, although spiritual and religious, does have many other added benefits to it when it comes to our mental health. And it's a great way to cope. It's a great way to keep us focused on what it is that's important to us and what's most meaningful. And so prayer has a way of really altering our state of mind, our spirit, and even our mood for the rest of the day. So if prayer works for you, go for it. Tip number 10, earthing, or also known as grounding. You may have heard the concept of grounding before when it comes to anxiousness, the state of being present, reminding yourself how to be present, such as noticing 5 things using all 5 senses in your body. But this type of grounding is also known as earthing, which is a newly kind of scientific peer-reviewed research, which is a newer approach when it comes to literally earthing yourself to the ground. You can check out this documentary for more information when it comes to earthing. Essentially, what they're telling you is to walk barefoot more often on grass or soil, anything that's actually touching the ground outside. Cement doesn't count, and neither does wearing your shoes. According to the peer-reviewed research, at least over 20 studies, they show that there's a lot of mental health benefits and physical health benefits when it comes to earthing yourself. And it's free. It seems to be the easiest tip out of all these coping skills that I'm going to give you today. So standing barefoot on the ground can give these added benefits, but check out the documentary so that you can judge it for yourself to see if it's a good fit for you. Tip number 11, write in a journal. Writing in a journal has immediate benefits because what it does is you're taking what's scrambled up here and you're putting it on paper as a rough draft. It may not be pretty, but that's not the point. You're trying to free write so that your mind can be a little bit more clearer and it's on paper, and then you can analyze it better. You might even feel good when you put it out. You find something meaningful when you take a look at it. That's the good thing about journaling. It's an escape for our mind, but also it's a way that we can straighten out certain thoughts, which again can straighten out certain feelings, and then we can learn more about ourselves, which can even alter our behavior. So writing in a journal, wonderful coping strategy. Tip number 12, read for fun or do some sort of learning. So whether you're into fiction, nonfiction, read to enjoy yourself or read to learn or both. There's something about reading that slows us down for a moment, has us focus on whatever words or meaning we're getting out of these sentences. Similar to writing in a journal, except this one's already done for you. And you can just focus on the stories that you're learning. You can focus on the narrative that you're learning from and see if you feel better as a way to ground yourself just by reading or learning something new. Tip number 13, use different apps for relaxation. So the app that comes to my mind is called the Calm app. I'll put a picture up here and I'll put a link down below. And what it does is similar to other apps, it helps you find your zen, to be calm. It can provide music. It can provide a ton of other different things. There are other apps that can even share things with you like mental health strategies, other coping strategies, music, mindfulness meditation, exercises, visualizations, guided imageries. There's a lot of different things that you can learn from these apps. So download a few and see which one is going to best work with you. Tip number 14, take a bath or a shower. Now taking a bath or a shower again has a way of grounding us for the moment, and we're able to feel the water, we're able to feel how the temperature of the water, and we're able to focus on that. There's always those things of shower thoughts where people get the most deepest thoughts or the most meaningful thoughts or realizations or those aha moments, and that just doesn't happen just because. Showering or taking a bath slows us down for a moment. It's a way of coping and it's a way of taking care of ourselves. Tip number 15, call up an old friend. Whether you want to call someone or text someone, you're reaching out to socialize, and that's a way to cope. And once they engage back with you, you can have conversation, which can make you feel less isolated, which can make you feel connected just for that moment. So use that as another coping strategy and connect with people. And if you struggle with connecting with people, I have a playlist for friendships, and I'll link it up here and put it in the description down below with different ways in how you can develop friendships starting from zero. Tip number 16. Fake smile or laugh at yourself. I know it sounds pretty odd, but when you put on a fake smile or when you're laughing at yourself, what you're doing is you're having your body train your mind to release certain chemicals based on the behavior. In other words, when you smile, that's genuine, you actually have these feel-good chemicals go throughout your brain and your body. But when you fake smile, there are times when also those feel-good chemicals are released through your brain and your body. Your body can't necessarily tell the difference at times, and there's a lot of research that supports this. Tip number 17. Go into nature. There's a lot of research that has already been conducted that shows a correlation that if you're around nature more, or just live near a park, or listen to nature sounds, or even look at pictures of nature on your phone, you actually can feel a lot better. Not only does nature put us around a more quiet place where we actually can be mindful and present, it can put our thought process at a slower pace, which can alter our mood and make us feel a little bit more calm. If you don't have access to a park or anything that's remotely has a natural environment, see what you can do to listen to thunderstorms on your phone, or rain, or the sound of the ocean, or wind, or something that reminds you of nature that you might find soothing. Even if it's from an electronic device, your brain can't always tell the difference, and it can actually alter the way you think and feel. Tip number 18. Play a game with someone. So if you have friends, family, kids, schoolmates, anyone near you, play a game with them. Even if it's through a phone, even if it's having an online tournament with people that you haven't even met, when there's a ton of them out there. See what you can do to connect with someone by playing a game. And you might laugh, you might smile, you might enjoy the competition. This is another way in how to cope, is playing a game with someone. Tip number 19. Picture a happy spot. Whenever I find myself in a negative funk, I try to think of this one particular happy spot that I created on my own that's unique to me. It's actually a memory of me at a stand-up comedy show with one of my favorite comedians. I can picture how dark it was, I can picture the drink I was having, I can picture the food I was having, I can picture the people that were with me, I can picture the person on the stage telling the joke, I can picture and feel the laughter and the warmth in the room, and that's mine to hold on to. Now whenever I find myself in a negative funk, close my eyes and think of it. Sometimes I can keep my eyes open and I can picture it too, and that helps me a lot. That's my happy place, that's my happy spot. So whenever you hear someone say find your happy place, they may not mean that exactly, but that's what I'm trying to teach you. Use that as a coping mechanism. Picture your particular happy spot and see if that can help you. And the cool part is that once you create it, it's there, and practice it more often, memorize it, and you can use it when you need it. Tip number 20, drink tea, drink water. There are a lot of people that tell me that the way they cope is to drink tea, or they drink water, or something with 0 to no sugars. It seems to help them a lot when it comes to coping. The medical literature teaches us that when we ingest a specific amount of different things like sugars, that our sugar levels do spike, which then pushes the insulin in our body to push it back down, which then our kidneys then kick back on that, and it goes into this up and down cycle. And over time, that actually shows symptoms of anxiety. So when I say drink water, drink tea, these are well-known resources to help people find their calm spot. I'm not a medical doctor, but this is just something that I do share with my clients regarding the research. Can't say this causes that, I can only discuss correlations and what the research shows, and so that people can be a judge for themselves. Drink water or tea because you're doing something to calm yourself down. It can be distracting, it can pull you away from whatever might be bothering you in the moment just because you're getting that tea or that water. Tip number 21 in coping, garden. You may not have a green thumb, I certainly don't. Gardening is a way that can again slow you down. It's a good way of coping. It gets you out in the soil, puts you under the sun, and it gives you something to do because you care about something and you want to take care of it consistently. And it gives you a good habitual process in doing something different rather than what you might be doing in general. And the research is amazing when it comes to having a plant or taking care of it or practicing gardening in an actual garden. It does wonders for our mental health when we have a green thumb. Tip number 22. Coloring. And sometimes this is known as adult coloring. So in the mental health world, there actually are coloring books dedicated for adults. Even not in the mental health world, there are dedicated coloring books for adults, kids, teens. The point is not to get this and to color in the lines. The point is to get it and to color however you want. You can follow the lines, great. You can go out of the lines too, great. The point is that you're coping. And again, it's grounding you, it's slowing you down, it's keeping you present, it's bringing out the creative side in you. It's clearing out the analytical side in you just for the moment so your mind can breathe. So go out, buy a coloring book, and see what you can do to just relax and color, and that's a great way of coping. Tip number 23, cooking. Just like coloring, cooking can bring out the creative side in you. You can follow the ingredients, you can add a little something, take away a little something. You're trial and erroring it, but the purpose is to cope and you're enjoying it. And it's something meaningful to you too. Nowadays, there's a ton of videos that can show budget cooking all the way up to a little bit more expensive cooking. So there's a lot of opportunity and different chances to try. And all you have to do is just look up a quick YouTube video that can teach you how to cook on a budget, in mid-range, or a little bit more expensive cooking. Regardless of what you are cooking, the point is you're actually doing something. You're coping. And cooking is a wonderful thing to slow down and to cope with. Tip number 24, organize one thing. There's a lot of people who are a huge fan of Marie Kondo, and there's a lot of people who think of organizing something, they look at the bigger picture, and can be really overwhelming. I often tell people, pick one drawer or one thing in the house that's literally one thing and not a set of compartmentalization of multiple things. One thing that you can organize. Start with a literal corner of a room. And if there's too many things there, you start with one thing in that corner. This can be a wonderful coping strategy, and also it can help defeat procrastination if you thought about cleaning a room, but you've been so overwhelmed. When you clean out one corner, when you organize just one thing, it's done. It's already complete, and you can do another thing later on. And you might feel better getting that one thing complete because your expectation was met, and you might think that wasn't that bad. And you might notice your mood changing and your behavior. You might notice more motivation to do more after that. Tip number 25. Stand and stretch. Again, this is for those who are able to do so. If you're able to stand up and stretch, if you're able to just stretch while sitting down or just stretch while you're in bed, the point is that you're stretching, you're doing something, and you're telling your mind, I'm doing something right now, because you literally are doing something right now. So stretching is a great way to cope, to slow down, to focus on your bodily movements, to not judge your movements, to not think, well, I can't stretch as far as that person, or you're comparing yourself. And when you compare yourself, it's not a good thing. So just stretching, whether you're in place, outside, in bed, in a chair, the point is that this is a way of coping because it takes your mind off whatever's happening in your mind and you're focusing on your body for a moment. Tip number 26 in coping, do what you really want to do. So this one, you can input anything you can do for coping, but think open-mindedly. If there's something out there that you think is realistic that you really want to do when it comes to coping, really look into it. Stop this video right now, go to Google, look into it, and see if there's a step-by-step tutorial in how to do it. Or see if there's a way that whatever you need to do to cope, if you need to purchase it, if you need to set your environment right for it, mentally prepare your mind for it, see what you can do to do what you really want to do. This also gives a feeling that's freeing, because there might be some obstacles that have been in your way before, maybe such as mindset, money, environment, because this tilts towards a good feeling that you might have by doing something that's meaningful, something that's important and worthwhile, that can alter a lot of things in your mind. And when that's altered, the way that you might feel might be altered too. Tip number 27, give yourself a pep talk. When my camera's off, I'm still talking like this. Not to the corner of the room, but I still try to talk to myself into what I'd like to do in the day or how to prepare myself to do something. Whenever I stand up and do a speech, my heart palpitates really fast, my palms get a little sweaty, and my focus becomes a little off. And then I tell myself, your body's just preparing you to do something great right now, Jake. See what you can do to trust that process. And I have noticed my public speaking skills have gotten a lot better, and it's become more fluid, and it's become easier to speak, and that is a snowball effect to make me have more confidence to speak. So see what you can do to figure out what you need to give yourself a pep talk in as a way of coping. Tip number 28, set small goals and complete it. A lot of people, when they tell me about their goals, tell me about this magnificent goal that they want to complete. And I think it's great. And then I say, where do you start? And they tell me, I have no idea. So I tell them, break down that goal. If that goal can be broken down into 20 pieces, what can you do to get piece number 1 done today? And maybe in 20 days you'll be done. What do you think? And that's how I break down most of my personal goals. It's been helpful. It's been a lot easier than looking at the end goal and not really focusing on how do I even start this journey. So see what you can do to get that goal, break it down into manageable, realistic pieces, and then take action and complete it little by little. And see how you feel along the way. That might be a good coping strategy for you. Tip number 29, watch a good movie. Whether it's a movie that you've seen before that you like to watch all the time, or something newer. If there's a movie, TV show, something to grab your attention that's on screen, it's a good way to cope. It's a good way to distract ourselves. It's a good way to make us think. It's a good way to get our creative juices going. Watching things can inspire us. It can teach us what we don't like. It can teach us what we do want. And so there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to watching film. So see what you can do to watch something, whether it's today or tomorrow, or maybe it's more YouTube videos similar to this. Go check out other channels when it comes to mental health if you're interested in things like this. And the last coping tip I want to give with you, which is something I'm going to be doing after this video, is sit, relax, lay down, and just relax your muscles. Relax your mind, your spirit, whatever it is that you feel needs relaxing. The way I do this is after a long day, I lay in bed and I tell myself, have you relaxed everything in your body? Can you relax your neck, your jaw, shoulders? Are you breathing with your stomach? Can you relax your mind? And I just check in with all of these one by one. And I notice after a while, I feel really good. And it goes all the way down to my toes. And that's a way of how I relax. It wasn't easy at first, but now I've become a little bit of a pro at it, where I can think about how I want to relax, and my body just does the rest automatically. So it's less of a mental process because the body has memorized the thought process already. So I rarely have to work hard at it. I hope that you can find a way in how to relax your body. That's today's video. 30 great coping tips that I think could work for you. They've been beneficial for me. They've been helpful for my clients and even my friends and colleagues. So I hope today's video was helpful for you. And if you're interested in other videos when it comes to mental health, I'll put links in the description down below. You can even check out this video right here when it comes to how to become a mental health professional. If you're interested in becoming a therapist, reach out to me. I have my LinkedIn bio down below, and you can check out that video that I linked up here earlier. Again, thank you for checking out this video. Hope it was helpful for you in your journey when it comes to coping with mental health or with anything that is distracting or troubling for you. So I hope these 30 different coping strategies are helpful for you. Even just one, that's a win. Thanks again for your time, and remember, take care.